Welcome to NFL World, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And Dereck Carr has decided to hang it up. Dereck Carr retires after 11 NFL seasons, 10 years in the NFL, I should say. Why don't you come and join me and let's try to figure out together why he decided to retire, and was it an injury or was it something else that led to the retirement? So let's begin with Dereck Carr. So Dereck Carr, the shocking statistic of Dereck Carr is the last game Dereck Carr played in, the Saints won 14-11. It was the worst game I've seen in quite some time. It felt like I was pulling my hair out while I was screaming at the television. And it led to potentially the last play of Dereck Carr's career, which was also unnecessary. But before we go further, I want to thank you all for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It helps us out, and it's absolutely free. Back to Dereck Carr. When you introduce a guy like Dereck Carr, you say, this is a quarterback that just loves to play the game. He has that kind of toughness and grittiness to play this position. And when you get a player like this, you want him to be successful. And he just wasn't very successful. And that's unfortunate. The unexpected news of him retiring just makes you have to think, wow, what a talented player that just couldn't get over the hump of a playoff game. Like, it's somehow the most complicated feat in pro sports is a playoff game or a playoff series. But let's begin with the implications of a Dereck Carr retirement. So there's two implications from the fans' perspective, and then there's an implication from the team perspective, which is kind of ties into the last implication for the fans. Is the first one is Dereck Carr retiring is essentially gave you $30 million in cap relief, which they've been in quote-unquote cap hell for the last few years, which, again, cap hell doesn't exist. It's just when you move money so much in the future, you eventually have to pay it. And they did so many times with older players that now some of these players aren't playing anymore. But they still got to be paid because the contracts are still up. They still do this money. As a Mets fan or as a Reds fan, you'll understand this is the Ken Griffey Jr. or Bobby Balea choice that you've made, that now you still got to pay, even these many years later. So you got that side of, oh my gosh, we got relief. Thank God we can go get somebody more than just one great player or one player that we pay heavily in the offseason. Then there's the other side of it is, who's going to be our quarterback? Now it's Tyler Shuck, who's a second-round rookie who played 7 years in college and wasn't very good. He was in the recruiting class with Trevor Lawrence and Penei Sewell. That's how long he's been in college. He wasn't very good. Then you have Spencer Rattler, who's a second-year player out of South Carolina, who we saw that last year did not play well. It didn't work. So there is, like, what else could they do? It would be interesting. Stay tuned to who we may have going there. So let's talk about Dereck Carr's journey. Let's first begin with, I guess, the highlighted milestone is, look, 40,000 plus yards, 200 plus touchdowns, a QBR over 95. That's all you want from a quarterback. This is when I think of Dereck Carr, he's a very gritty player. He broke his leg. They had one of the best years. He broke his leg. that was the year they would have made the playoffs. Probably had a great chance to stack some playoff wins together before, because that was the year the Texans went against Brock Osweiler and the Houston Texans. Dereck Carr's there, they win that game. Just to say. But there was that. I really want to talk about the biggest moment of Dereck Carr's career was that 2021 season where everything possible went wrong. They trade for Antonio Brown, who doesn't practice very much and ends up getting cut a few months in his tenure with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Henry Ruggs issue, where he goes to jail. The John Gruden issue, where he sent thousands of emails to so like I said, AB, Ruggs, Gruden resigns. Damian Arnett gets cut after showing an automatic weapon on his Instagram. 4 people. That's hard enough to deal with. Then there was the other stuff. It's hard enough to deal with the stuff in the locker room. Now we got 4 things that were mainstream media. The Gruden situation, like I was saying before, he sent thousands of emails to an NFL person. And some of them, not some of them, a lot of them had racial undertones in them. So there was problems there. I'm not saying there wasn't, but there was a lot going on. This was also only the beginning of the season. So you had all this stuff going on, but somehow the Raiders band together and make the playoffs after winning 7 games by 7 points or less, which is impossible. That's an impossible feat. But they did it. And then go wire to wire with a team that makes the Super Bowl. It's impressive. Really is. Kind of falls apart in 22. Josh McDaniels, who had the Patriot way instilled in him for 20 years. It didn't work. Dereck Carr gets cut, ends up going to New Orleans. And then has 2 mediocre to worse than mediocre seasons. Then we get into this pivotal moment in Dereck Carr's career. Saints are at the Giants. Scores 14-11 late in the game. Saints have the ball. Dereck Carr decides he wants to run. The out of bounds line is not even 3 feet away. So he could just step out of bounds. But instead he decides to dive. And he dives over a defender. But he lands out of bounds. And he lands, at first I thought he landed on his wrist. And I thought he snapped and broke his wrist. But then he lands on his shoulder and injures his shoulder. And the trainer's walking him off, and they're holding onto his forearm, and his wrist is just kind of hanging there. And they said it was a shoulder issue. That was in December. And in April, before the draft, it's announced to Dereck Carr that shoulder is still bothering him. And they may not draft a quarterback. We don't know. Which was a problem. And then come to find out he retires. It was very strange. And the turning point, this is the emotional part of it, to describe what happened, in Dereck Carr's words, there was a quote-unquote degenerative changes in his shoulder. That's how he described it. Whether or not that's true is up for debate. because that seems like a very specific but loose term at the same time. And I wonder, maybe there was other things going on. Maybe there was part of it. He didn't like the fact of how the coaching was. And now they're bringing a guy like a Kellen Moore who has all these weapons that he brought in, and now the quarterback is gone. And what's going to happen? It was emotional. It really was. It was an emotional time as this goes when you retire. When you get a player like that, it's hard to describe, but his contributions were great for the game. Does he intend to stay retired for the remainder of his days? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we get a year or two away from this and he wants to come back. In which case we'll revisit and say he got pushed out because maybe Kellen didn't want him. And there was other things going on. Carr said that he re-injured his shoulder trying to help his pregnant wife. So there's that going on too. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know. But it's possible that there was other things going on that we're just not privy to at this time. I think when you have contributions like Dereck Carr playing for the silver and black, no matter if it was in Oakland or Las Vegas, and then when he went to New Orleans and got accepted by that fan base, when you look at Dereck Carr's career, that's really what you talk about. A player who was gritty, who fought for the city he was playing for. That's how. But what do you guys think about Dereck Carr's career, the fact that he retired, and what was the actual reason that Dereck Carr chose to retire? Was it an injury? Was he pushed out? Was there another reason that we didn't talk about? Let me know in the comment section. But while you're there, like, comment, subscribe. It's absolutely free and it helps the channel out. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Ebert. Out.